back. I am your host, Matt Talk Sports, and today we will be doing a first round NFL mock draft. So let's get started. So, as we know, the Chicago Bears have the first overall pick, and with that first overall pick, obviously, they're going to pick Caleb Williams, man out of USC. This is the easiest pick you could possibly make. And so, number two, I think the Washington Commanders will most likely draft Jaden Daniels. I think that's one of the easiest picks for them out of their lives. Jaden Daniels, he's definitely better than Drake May, and so that's the reason why I have Drake May going number 3 to the New England Patriots. And number 4, the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is an easy one. I think they will be picking Marvin Harrison Jr. because Marvin Harrison Jr. has obviously been so good at that wide receiver spot, and so that's one of the easiest picks. Moving on, you have the Chargers. So I think they will select a wide receiver. They desperately need a wide receiver, and so that's why I think they will get Malik Nabers, wide receiver out of LSU. He worked with Aiden Daniels, so. Alright, next on you have the New York Giants. Now the Giants could definitely take wide receiver Rome Udunzi. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. Or they could take Brock Bowers. But I'm actually gonna have them taking Rome Udunzi. They just really need wide receiver more than I think they need tight end. So that's my reasoning why. So the Tennessee Titans, they need a wide receiver. They already got a pretty decent wide receiver one. They need to build up on that. But I definitely think this is a deep wide receiver core. So later on in the draft, I think they will, get something. But so at number 7, I'm gonna say they're gonna draft JJ McCarthy. I think they'll get a new quarterback in. I just think overall they'll be. I just think overall they're gonna take a QB. JJ McCarthy, he's been pretty good. Okay, so now you have the Atlanta Falcons. So the Atlanta Falcons could get a wide receiver, but they obviously are good on that. I think I'm gonna go Latu, an edge out of UCLA. I think the Falcons need a new edge. Alright, so now the Chicago Bears, I'm gonna have them taking the next best receiver in Brian. It's actually close between Brian Thompson Jr. or Brock Bowers. I'm gonna have them going Brock Bowers. So now they have new quarterback, new tight end. So the New York Jets, I think their wide receiver core is pretty good. They need to step up that offensive line. So I'm going to have them taking offensive tackle Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Now, this is a no-brainer for the New York Jets. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers coming back after that injury, which was mainly caused because of the offensive line. So now you have the Minnesota Vikings, and I think the Minnesota Vikings will go the next best quarterback, and the next best quarterback would most likely be Bo Nix. So I have them taking Bo Nix, obviously QB out of Oregon. I just think the Minnesota Vikings desperately need a quarterback, so I think they're going to be desperate enough to get Bo Nix. You have the Denver Broncos. Now, the Denver Broncos do need a quarterback too. So, that's why I think they will go with. I think they will go Michael Penix Jr. He's a quarterback out of Washington now. I think this is also a no-brainer for the Denver Broncos. They desperately need a quarterback. And over the drafts, obviously, like I said before, this is a deep wide receiver class, so there will still be some hidden talent later on in the draft. So now you have the Las Vegas Raiders. And I do think the Las Vegas Raiders will most likely go after a running back, so I have them going Trey Benson. I think the Raiders definitely need to step up the running game after they lost Josh Jacobs, so that's why I have them getting Trey Benson. So now the New Orleans Saints, they just need to get either offensive or defensive line. Quarterback is probably out of the question now, and I think they will take Alumaweyu Fashinu out of Penn State. I probably butchered his name. I think that's an easy one for the Saints. Moving on, you have the Colts. The Colts obviously need a wide receiver, corner, safety, edge, tight end. And I think, I know this is probably not a really favored draft pick by the Colts. I think they will actually go Quinion Mitchell. I don't know if I haven't obviously looked at any mock draft, so I'm just going off of the head. I've seen some of these guys play, and so I just think they'll get Quinion Mitchell. All right, now you have the Seahawks. Now the Seattle Seahawks, they really just need offensive or defensive line, maybe somebody in that backfield. Now, I think they will definitely take the next best defensive tackle, which would probably be Johnny Newton. Obviously, going before he probably should. But I have the Seahawks taking Johnny Newton. So now the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely will take a wide receiver, so I have them taking Brian Thomas Jr. I just think they need to up that wide receiver core. They will probably take an offensive tackle, so I have them taking Taliz Fuego. I'm butchering these names. I know that. He's an offensive tackle out of Oregon State. I think that's a no-brainer. All right. So now you have the Los Angeles Rams, and I think they're going to take an edge in Dallas Turner. I just do not see them taking anybody else. I think they will take an edge, and this will definitely help out because Dallas Turner is I'd say a legend now because of how good he's played. Okay, now you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will be taking a corner, and that corner will be Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. All right, moving on, you have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, I think, will take the best offensive tackle there is, and that would be Troy Fatanu. Troy Fatanu, I think, will be a strong pick for them. So now I think the Eagles will take an edge as they most likely need that. And I think they're going to take edge Jared Verse. I just do not see Jared Verse going. He's not going to drop like that. The Eagles need an edge. Gimme Jared Verse. All right, next up you have 23rd Minnesota Vikings. Now the Minnesota Vikings, obviously, I chose a quarterback earlier, and they do need to step up that defensive line. So gimme defensive tackle Brian Murphy II. I think Minnesota needs to up that defensive line. There's not much the Cowboys need. I do think they will take an offensive tackle, though, in Amaris Mims. I do not see Amaris Mims obviously going down this far, but I do think if Amaris Mims is still available, the Dallas Cowboys will definitely take him. So next up, you have the Green Bay Packers. So the Green Bay Packers need a linebacker. They could get MOB. They could get a corner or a safety. I like Cooper Dijon, and I also like Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now, this is definitely a toss-up. I do end up with Cooper Dijon going to Green Bay. Now you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need definitely a corner. They need some pretty big places. They need an edge. So I do think they might take Nate Wiggins, but I see them taking Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson, obviously a very good edge out of Penn State. A lot of good defensive players, I'd say, coming out of Penn State that are going to be in the first round. Moving on, you have the Arizona Cardinals. They need a defensive tackle, an edge, a wide receiver. We can worry about that defense later. But I have them going and getting. It's between Xavier Worthy or Adonai Mitchell. I think they will take Xavier Worthy just because of that speed, obviously now being the fastest person in the NFL. 40-yard dash. Alright, the Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to take the next best wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell. I think they need to step up that wide receiver core after obviously losing Stephon Diggs. Alright, so now the Lions could go different places. I see them getting Nate Wiggins, corner out of Clemson. Alright, moving on, you have the last three. Baltimore Ravens, give me an offensive tackle. Give me GC Latham out of Bama. Moving on, you have the San Francisco 49ers. I do think they might get a corner, and if they do get a corner, they will most likely get